So imagine for a second you've got a product you need to sell. The only catch, its main selling point is that it's profoundly difficult. It's incredibly demanding. You could even say it's almost impossible to market. So how on earth do you find an audience for something like that? Today, we're going to dive into just a brilliant case study in how to reach the unreachable.
I mean, right out of the gate, this is something else. The first rule of marketing is supposed to be, highlight the benefits. This book does the exact opposite. This quote isn't an invitation, it's a warning. It's literally trying to filter out the casual reader, looking only for people who are ready for a serious challenge. And that's the core problem we're looking at. How do you market an unmanageable message?
And just look at how the core message is presented. This isn't some collection of nice, feel-good stories. It's framed as a technical manual, a really complex blueprint for your body, your breath, your spirit. The detail alone tells you this is absolutely not light reading.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this breakdown. First, we'll tackle the product itself, the unmanageable gospel. Then we'll get into the core strategy, which is fantastic. One message, 3 doors. We're going to look at each of the 3 editions one by one, the original, the zombie, and the mystic. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together with this idea of the threefold cord. All right, let's start with the product itself, the unmanageable gospel. Seriously, just think about this. If your main promise is this radical, life-changing experience, but it comes with a huge personal cost, where do you even start looking for people who are willing to sign up for that? And just to be crystal clear, these aren't critiques someone else made about the book. This is the author's own marketing copy. It promises to crucify you. It proudly rejects devotional fluff. It even warns you that the message is bad for business because, and this is a quote, "dead wheat doesn't tithe." It's so intentionally confrontational. So you've got this impossible product. How do you solve a problem like that? Well, instead of changing the message to make it more palatable, they did something way smarter. They changed the delivery. And this, right here, is where the strategy becomes just absolutely brilliant. This is really the question at the heart of the whole project, isn't it? How do you build a bridge to a reader for a message that promises to be so personally costly? How do you convince someone to even open the cover in the first place? And here it is, the beautifully simple, elegant answer. Not one book, but 3 versions of the exact same book. The idea isn't to water down the core message. It's to build 3 completely different, customized entry points, 3 doors, each one designed for a very, very specific type of person. So let's walk through that first door. This is edition 1, the original. Think of this as the baseline, the core manuscript, exactly as it was first written. It's designed for a reader who's already, inside the tradition. The target here is incredibly specific. It's for the person who gets all the lingo, they know the theology, but they just feel burnt out. The fire's gone, so the features are tailor-made for them. Deep theological terms, original Hebrew words, references to ancient Christian mystics like the Desert Fathers. It's all designed to meet that reader exactly where they are and reignite that spark. Okay, now for the second door. And get ready because this is a complete 180. We're talking about edition 2, the zombie. This one is aimed directly at the skeptic, the secular, post-Christian reader, the person who would never in a million years pick up a book with gospel in the title. The whole strategy here is reframing. The target isn't sitting in a church pew. It's the person who feels empty, even after trying everything the modern world offers. Therapy, pills, mindfulness apps. And that title, Why Everyone Feels Dead Inside, it's a perfect hook. It speaks directly to a real cultural feeling, not a religious problem. And the tactical genius just keeps going. When you look at the words they chose, the core ideas are identical, but the vocabulary changes to remove any barriers. The Hebrew word ruach simply becomes the breath. Yeshua is gently footnoted as Yeshua Jesus. It's a strategic act of translation for a whole new culture. And the changes go even deeper than that. This edition starts with neuroscience, with brainwave states, things a skeptical reader trusts, long before it ever gets to theology. A religious quote at the beginning is swapped for a secular one about addiction. The church is talked about like an outside institution you might have left. The entire approach is to start with a diagnosis, that feeling of being a zombie, before you even hint at the cure. And this is the pitch. The 1-sentence ad for this whole edition, and it is just pure empathy. It tells the reader their feelings are valid. It reframes their pain not as a personal failure, but as a kind of withdrawal, and then it offers hope. What an incredibly powerful hook.
And that brings us to our third and final door, Edition 3, The Mystic. This is by far the most specialized version of the book, and it's built for a very particular kind of seeker, someone who is interested in or already part of Jewish mysticism. So here, the target is someone who is already fascinated by the deep, mystical side of their own tradition. We're talking Kabbalah, the Zohar, these ancient, powerful texts, but they haven't made a connection between that tradition and the person of Yeshua or Jesus. And look at that title, The Hidden Name. It uses words like Raz and Ruach right on the cover. It signals immediately this book speaks your language.
So the bridge here isn't built by simplifying, like in the zombie edition. It's built by going even deeper into the specialized language. This version actually expands on Hebrew concepts. It adds whole new sections that draw direct lines to foundational mystical Jewish texts. It's really putting the two traditions into a direct and respectful conversation. And listen to the pitch for this edition. It's an invitation, not an argument. It's suggesting that the book's message isn't some departure from their heritage, but actually the fulfillment of it. It's saying that the destination their own mystics were searching for is right here. Okay, so we've seen the three doors. We've got the insider, the skeptic, and the seeker. Now let's tie it all together in this last section, the threefold cord. This is where we see how these three totally different approaches all serve one single unified goal. This image really gets to the heart of it. This is the argument shared by all three books. On one side, you have the diagnosis, a zombie structure, a system that is spiritually dead. And on the other side, you have the cure, the life-giving breath, the ruach. Every single edition, no matter who it's for, is built on that same fundamental pattern. Diagnosis, then cure. And honestly, this might be the most important takeaway of the entire strategy. Yeah, the introductions changed, the vocabulary is adapted, some extra material is added to build those bridges, but the core 17-chapter engine of the book, the actual manual, it stays identical across all three versions. The core message is never, ever compromised. This quote from the original planning document just says it all so perfectly. The goal was never to create three different truths. It was to honor the reality that three different kinds of people need three different ways in to access the same truth. Every path leads to the exact same destination. So we'll end on this question because it really gets to the heart of what makes this whole thing so fascinating. When you tailor a message like this, when you create these custom entry points, are you watering down the truth, or are you performing a radical act of translation, an act of strategic empathy, to make sure a vital message can actually be heard by the people who need it most? It's a question every single one of us who tries to communicate anything important has to answer.